And here we are. So, Keith, thank you very much for joining us today, and welcome everybody to the Seer 365 sessions. So, what we try and do is bring interesting people to see all of you, so you can find out more about interesting ISVs and SIs that you hopefully will be interested in finding more about and potentially working with. Before I forget, if anybody's got any questions as we go through, then please feel free to leave a comment. We can pop up, and we'll try and get them answered as we go. So, as normal, then we'll start with a bit of an introduction. Keith, do you want to introduce yourself and Levridge?
Sure. Hi, I'm Keith Van Gesser. I'm a pre-sales architect for the Levridge commodity accounting product. Levridge is a commodity accounting product used to track and process bulk product, and we'll talk a lot more about that in a little bit.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So, without further ado, then I'll add your slides, and we can just get going. So, why don't you tell us more about Levridge and how you help?
Yeah. So first of all, the, the the Levridge product is designed for the agricultural commodity market, and inside of that market, we're looking at different businesses, such like an ethanol plant that takes corn and produces ethanol, or soybean processors that crush soybeans and create soybean meal and soybean oil, or even things like milling, like flour, wheat into flour, or corn into cornmeal. We also have a product that kind of works with grain elevators as far as buying and selling the commodity, whether it's corn, beans, wheat, whatever the commodity is. Also with food processors. So if you're taking some vegetables, you're bringing them into your operation and cleaning and bagging them and selling them, that type of food processor. We work great with cooperatives with our patronage package, and we even do some stuff with ag retailers in our ag sales product. So that at a high level is kind of some of the markets that Levridge supports. From there, Levridge is a little different. Levridge is built on top of Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. With that technology platform, of course, we get the modern technology. It's cloud-based. We've added some business-to-business functionalities to kind of connect that agricultural world transactionally. And then we have the customers and growers through portals and other features to kind of be the stakeholder right inside that software. So some of the major underpinnings of our technology. So what is Levridge commodity or a Levridge grain? Basically, we're looking at functionality in four major places. First of all, we have to buy the grain. We have to inbound the grain, and we'll look at that, and I'll show you some demonstrations on how that's done and what features we have in that. After we bring the grain in, we really use the finance and operations platform then to do the manufacturing of that grain, as far as cleaning it and bagging it, or grinding it, or whatever you're doing with that commodity to make the finished product. But then on the outbound side, we've added functionality in the Levridge commodity and grain package for sales contracts, load orders, things like that. And then also with that is kind of price risk and risk management that we've added functionality that's so important in that industry. So let's take a look at the first part of contracting. So the first thing is functionality inside of Levridge that does the bid sheet. So the bid sheet is a listing of what you're paying for the commodity. And it's got a very efficient way of doing a parent-child relationship and listing your bids at the various locations. Another feature in there is grower offers. So a grower could call and say, hey, I don't like your price of corn today, but if corn gets to $5, I'll sell. So we can track those offers and then execute on those offers and create contracts from them. And so that's really where the process starts, is with an agreement, a contract to purchase the commodity. And we're going to take a look at the purchase contracts in part of our demo. So after we've agreed to purchase the commodity, in other words, we have a purchase contract in place, the next step is the grower delivers, and we track that delivery. We weigh that truck and we unload that truck inside the software accounting to keep the weights and grades of that commodity. And then the final step then is settlement. In other words, we're paying for that grain, and there's about 3 steps involved with that. First of all, we do a settlement request where the grower asks to get paid. We do the actual settlement where we generate the payable and the settlement sheet, and then we actually do the payment using the Dynamics Finance and Operations accounts payable functionality to actually do that. On the outbound side, it's a very similar process. We start with a sales contract, which is an agreement to sell the final product to our customer. We optionally have a load order functionality that where the customer can actually order the delivery of the product, but then ultimately a shipment that records the outbound scale ticket. It's truckloads or rail cars or vessels, records the shipment. We do the invoicing, and then we actually get paid from the grower using, as part of that invoice, we create a Dynamics 365 accounts receivable using the finance and operations platform, and then we reuse D365 then to take payment against that accounts receivable. We have some risk management functionality that we'll touch on a little bit here in the demonstration. Just a quick overview. We have futures and options, a way to enter and track futures and options. We have a daily position report or a stock status report that is oftentimes a regulatory report that shows the inventory, what you own, what's unstored, if it's paid or not paid company owned. That's part of the daily position report or the DPR. And then we have risk reports, long short market and long short delivery to assess the risk that you might have on your contracts. And then a mark to market report, which brings the contracts to market and records any unrealized gain or losses there. So that's kind of the risk management suite of functionality that Levridge will bring. So with that, I think it's time to let's quit with the PowerPoint and get to a demonstration. So like we said earlier, the Levridge product is built on top of Dynamics Finance and Operations, and those that are familiar, this is very familiar, except it's got the Levridge banner on it. I have a lot of the functionality enabled inside of Finance and Operations that our typical user would only have the things on here that they would be used to seeing, so it'd be a much more simple screen. So let's start with the inbound process. Again, if you remember from the slideshows, we have a 3-step process. We start with a purchase contract, we take delivery with a scale ticket, and then we apply that ticket to the contract and then finally settle that ticket. So we're going to take a quick look at all 3 pieces of that inbound process. Starting with the purchase contract. So as you can see here, these modules are the same that you would have in finance and operations, but we've added commodity accounting to it. And you can see if I expand it all, we have a wealth of functionality here that we support, but we're going to just kind of keep it at a high level, and we're going to collapse them all. And we're really going to look here at the inbound, outbound, and risk management pieces of our solution. So starting with inbound, pretty easy. Those 3 steps come back again. We have the contract, the delivery, and the settlement. So I open up the contract, and we can start right here with a purchase contract. We'll look at some of the data that we capture with that purchase contract. So when I open the window, we get this grid view of the open contracts that are in the system. We do support a filtering. So if you have multiple locations or multiple branches, we can filter so you can just see your contracts for your branch. In this example, I have it, the purchase contracts filtered here to my branch HIL. And actually, I'm going to change that to my branch for Barnesville, BAR. Okay, so these are the ones, the contracts I wanted to show you. Let's take a look at this contract here for Anderson Farms and some of the data that we capture for this contract. So we include the contract type. So in agriculture, there's different types of contracting that you can agree to buy either with a grower or maybe another facility. And it's usually around pricing. So whether it's a cash price or maybe there's no price established, or maybe it's a basis contract or a hedge to arrive contract. We support all those different types of contract types, and it's mostly around the different pricing that happens and the way that contract is priced. Those types usually drive that. We have the customer, the commodity. It's an open contract. It was for 10,000 bushels. We do support all the different units of measure, whether it's ton, metric ton, bushels, pounds, whatever that unit of measure might be for the setup for that particular item. In our case, we have corn and we have it set up for a bushel. We can also track a contract for a grower contract for maybe all the production from a certain from a given farm and field. So we can track that and tie this contract to the farm field. It's usually done with specialty crops, maybe sugar beets. You might track, you might be buying all of the sugar beets from a particular farm and field that they can grow, or maybe even up to a limit, or other specialty crops like that. We often track at the farm and field level. And then when what year are we going to grow that crop, we can select, hey, this is for the 2024 crop year. The number of acres and the estimated yield is used then to come up with a contract quantity. Now, if you choose not to use these acre-based contracts, that's fine. We can hide those fields, and so you don't see them, and you can just contract for a certain quantity. You don't have to track it by the farm and field. This contract can have terms of the contract can specify certain fees and discounts, and let's talk about that a little bit. So a discount is a charge or even a premium for based on the quality of the product. So if you're looking for a protein level of wheat, and if you want to pay a premium for everything you for wheat that you receive that's over 14%, you can add a premium, maybe 10 cents or 15 cents or whatever it might be for each level above the desired targeted protein. And then you can also have a discount. So if it doesn't make the protein level that you're looking for, you can actually charge a discount. And we do all types of quality measurements in our quality grades, foreign material or test weight or um, damage, broken kernels, oversized, undersized. Those things are all set up for each commodity, so you can measure and see that. So discounts are for quality related discounts. Fees and charges are for just flat charges, whether it's a checkoff program that you're taking withholding income from, or taking a charge for, or weighing fee. Those type of charges are done through a fee schedule. We also support a floating quantity. So if this isn't an exact 10,000, it's basically maybe it's all the production from a certain farm and field. You can float that quantity up. So as tickets are applied to that contract, the contract just keeps going up. So that is an option in our system, along with load-based contracts, where if you're contracting not for a certain quantity, but a certain number of loads, you can do that too through a load-based contract. Some of the other terms, weights and grades to govern. Sometimes depending on who you're buying from, you might use the origin weights and grades against the contract to be applied, or you might use a destination, like in this example here. And this is a truck contract. And we also support the concept of deferring the payment. So instead of paying it immediately upon when the grower delivers the product, you can maybe defer the payment till after the first of the year through this deferred contracts construct. So that's the header type of information. Another nice thing and an important differentiation between commodity contracts and maybe a purchase order is that these can be scheduled, and it can have different prices depending on when the delivery of the product is scheduled. So you can see in this example, I have of my 10,000 bushels, I have 5,000 for delivery in November and another 5,000 for delivery in December. And this schedule can go on and on depending on how many different delivery periods you'd like to track for this contract. And then you notice also that the pricing can be different for delivery period. And we can tie the pricing to the commodity ticker, which is usually the Board of Trade. And just examples, Z24 is a Chicago Board of Trade for corn of December of 2024. And the board price at the time we had that contract, or we initialized this contract, was $4.11. We have a basis of -4 cents, so then our net price is 407. So another unique thing about commodity contracts is you have that construct of board price, basis price, and net price, where the basis really is the difference between the board that's being traded, and usually Chicago or ICE or some other board of trade, and the basis is the difference between that board price and what you're actually going to pay the grower or the other grain elevator for that product. So if there is a board of trade established for that commodity, this plays. If you don't have a board of trade, if you're buying a commodity that's not traded on the board and you don't care to track the board and basis, we can just do a net price too. So that can also be just a net price for via a setup that says, hey, it's not a board traded commodity. So that's pretty much the purchase contract at kind of a high level, some of the details here. And again, the unique pieces to this is that you can schedule the delivery periods and you can have pricing per delivery period. So let's keep moving. We're going to get to the delivery after we've entered in the purchase contract. We can then go to I made a change, so I'm going to put a reason code. It's going to ask, why did I change the contract? And I'm going to say for miscellaneous reasons. And we're going to go take a look. The next step, after we have that purchase contract, we're going to collapse contracts. We're going to look at delivery. We usually do that through an inbound scale ticket because now Levridge is kind of predicated on we're bringing truckloads of this stuff or rail cars. It's a bulk product. It's not little package product. It's a whole truckload of product. And let's take a look at what the data is that we capture on that scale ticket. So again, it's an inbound ticket. It's from Anderson Farms. You can see here. It came from this farm and field. We can track what inventory site it went to. We have the gross weight. That's the weight of the truck when it's full after they dump their load. Then we have the empty weight, which is called the tare weight, which then calculates the net weight. So in this case, the gross weight minus the tare weight is the net of 57,000 pounds, 380, which is 1,024.64 bushels. Again, so we track those weights as it comes across the scale. Also, then we have the grade factors. And so these are set up by commodity of what are you going to measure as far as the moisture, the test weight, the foreign material damage. You set up what things you want to track, and you can enter the values then as part of the scale ticket. So now we have the purchase contract, we have the scale ticket. The next step now is to apply that ticket based on your rules or maybe the grower's preference. We're going to apply that scale ticket to the contract. There is automatic facilities around being able to do this automatically, but I'm going to do this real quickly manually. We have here a list of the scale tickets that are currently unapplied. All I need to do is pick the ticket that I want to apply, or maybe a couple of tickets. And then here are the contracts that can be applied to. You simply select the contract and hit apply. Now, if the grower has brought in tickets that you're going to store for them, we do support storage. And so there'll be a storage agreement, and you just simply apply that scale ticket to that storage agreement, and you can store that commodity for the grower until they sell it to you maybe later on. After the ticket has been applied to the contract, the final step is the settlement. And I wanted to show you that real quick. We'll just look through a settlement, and we've got a wizard built to help that settlement process. And let's just walk through that real quickly. We're going to do a new settlement, and we're just going to pick the grower that we want. It's Anderson Farms, and the commodity that we're going to pay them for, and the location that we're going to pay them out of. And it's just a wizard. We hit next. These are all the unpaid scale tickets. I can pick all of them, or I can pick one or two. I'll just pick a couple. And so we have 1,000 bushels for. It's on this contract here at $5.01 a bushel. We have a fee for a checkoff program and a weighing fee that are going to be deducted. We can hit next. And at this point now, we get who we're going to pay and when we're going to pay. We support lien holders. You can defer the payment to a certain date. You can actually split the payment, so you can pay other people besides them. If you've got have to pay off a loan or some other type of lien, you can add those payables. Or if you want to pay some to your son or whoever that might be, we can do that through split payments. And I'm going to finish and open this, and then we get to the final step here is the settlement payment that will actually, with these two actions here, confirm and pay. The confirm will create a Dynamics Finance and Operations accounts payable voucher that then can be paid through accounts payable. If the grower is standing right there and he needs a check right away, we can do confirm and pay, and we will get a check on the fly right on the spot. So again, so that covers the inbound process real quickly, everything from purchase contracts to delivery to apply the ticket to the contract to the settlement. We have a very similar type of construct on the outbound side, on the sales side. And let's just take a quick look at that. On the outbound side, sales contracts. Again, same type of thing. I have a sales contract here for some distiller's grain, which is a byproduct of the ethanol world. Notice that we have the customer, the commodity. We can also have the number of loads if it's and we can do load-based contract if it's number of loads. And the same story here with the scheduling. When are they going to get this? We're going to get some in November, some in December. As you can see here, we have a different price. Notice that does not have a board price on this thing, so we just have a net price for this item. And we also support alternate delivery locations. So notice this contract was set up to go to Mankato. If we shipped it to Wilmer through this alternate delivery pricing table, we scheduled to ship it to Wilmer, it's going to be $220 instead of $200 because maybe we have additional freight costs. So it's going to be more. So that's one of the small differences between the inbound contracts and the purchase contract is this alternate delivery pricing ability. So again, very similar to the purchase contract, we have sales contracts. We also have once the contracts are set, we have delivery, which is outbound scale tickets. The outbound scale tickets, similar information on outbound as inbound. You have the ticket type, this one's out, the ticket number, the date, who we sent the shipment to, the gross, the tare, the net weights, everything you'd have on a scale ticket, even transportation information and grade information if applicable. So again, same story. We have the outbound scale ticket, evidence of the shipment of the product. Same type of scenario also, we can apply that outbound ticket to the sales contract, and then that gets the pricing, inherits that pricing from the sales contract, inherits to the outbound ticket. The final step for outbound is invoicing. We can do a ship not invoice. This is going to be a list of all those outbound tickets that we have not yet created a sales invoice for. We can just take a look at this one at the top here. I'm clicking on that number 2 and looking at the scale tickets, and we can see, hey, I've shipped 2 loads of this product to the customer. We haven't invoiced it yet, so in order to invoice it, I can select it here. I can add charges. I can reduce it for advances. But at the end of the day, we're going to have an invoice here for $10,560. I hit the invoice button, generate the invoice, and this creates a Dynamics Finance and Operations sales invoice then that can be used to take the payment later down the line when the customer pays us for this product. So that's where the handoff between the Levridge commodity accounting and finance and operations happens at accounts receivable. So a quick look, that was a quick look through the outbound side. One thing I did want to mention is that on sales contracts, we can add a 4th step in between there with a load order. So we can actually order the shipment, then take the shipment, and then invoice it. And so there's a lot of functionality around handling sales orders. And the final piece I wanted to talk about today is risk management. So under the risk management functionality that Levridge brings to the table is trades. We can enter in trades. We can enter in futures and options trades to help hedge those risks you might have on purchase and sale contracts. We also have some reporting available through, and I'll just run a couple of those real quick, a long short delivery position report. So this is a position here for corn I'm just going to show. And you can see here, as we generate this report, we have each of the delivery months across the top. We have what we have for purchase contracts, what we have for sales contracts, and then our company owned, our inventory, and our net position for each month if we're long or short. Have we sold more than we bought, or have we bought more than we sold? And the cool part about this has the drill downs. We can actually see the details of the contracts that make up that position. Another, again, one final thing besides those position reports is I wanted to show is that we do have a mark-to-market report for those that need to do that at month end. That brings those commodity contracts to the market, calculating an unrealized gain or loss either on the board, the basis, and then a total gain or loss. And we do that using a price schedule here that shows what the market price is at the end of the period. So all that functionality, Richard, we've got a real quick run through. We have all that commodity accounting functionality. I think we touched on most of it at a real high level. That helps, just all the special things that happen in agriculture and commodity accounting. We've got it all covered with Levridge.
Thanks for that, Keith. I think so. Those people that know me will know that I am not a grain farmer, so my knowledge on this stuff is limited. But what I think is really interesting is there might be partners out there who either organically come across an opportunity that this would be relevant for, or maybe based in an area of the country or the world that they see opportunities there, but they've always thought it's too difficult to get into. So I think the fact it's a ready-baked solution that would allow them to sell into those customers without having to go to the massive cost of having to develop all this themselves, I think is a really good example of an ISV that would allow you to get into a new market. So that was one of the reasons I wanted people to see this, because I think it really helps in those scenarios.
Yeah, guaranteed for sure, Richard. The interesting part is, a lot of this terminology is foreign to other industries, but to agriculture, this is just what they do, and so it'll make a lot of sense to them. Yeah,
yeah, and it was really helpful that I watched Clarkson's Farm on Amazon Prime recently, so I was able to keep up with some of the things around grain and protein levels and stuff. I'd actually seen that before, so that was helpful. A bit of homework.
One of the oldest industries on the planet.
Yeah, and incredibly important. Incredibly important.
For sure.
So if people are interested in knowing more about Levridge, then you can ping them on hello@levridge.com, which is one of my favorite email addresses that I've seen in a while. It's much more friendly than info or whatever. So hello@levridge.com. So send the guys an email. And I believe you're at a trade event fairly soon as well.
We are at the National Grain and Feed Association in December, the first part of December. We're going to be at the trade show there, so look us up.
I think it's in Florida, in Orlando.
Was it in Florida? I'm not 100%.
Yeah,
okay.
It looks it's somewhere warm anyway.
Okay.
You don't. Although I will say, I've known the team, the team at Levridge, but also the wider team for a while, and I know a lot of them based in Fargo, and I like to think myself a part Fargonian. I'm a big fan of Fargo, so you should maybe go and meet the team out in Fargo as well. That's
certainly welcome. And I think we also go to the coldest trade show on earth in Winnipeg in January. So that's another one we can.
If it's colder than Fargo in February, then you win, because that is cold. That is cold, but it's still Fargo. Go out there and meet the team. So anyway, with that, then I just want to thank you again for spending some time to hear about the team at Levridge, and thank you, Keith, for walking us through. I know you covered an awful lot. I think we're looking to do some more stuff around sort of practice in a box as well, so making it even easier for people to start up a practice leveraging the Levridge the solution in that. So stay tuned on that one as well. So Keith, thank you very much for your time. Everybody who's watching this, thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you very much.